How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Infinity Shred with us, and she can say her name and what she does in the band.
Awesome. Hi, guys. So my name's Clara, and I play drums in Infinity Shred. There's two other members, Damon on synths and Nate on guitar, and we all write together. And we also have Chris Alfieri, who joins in on a couple songs. Yeah.
Awesome. So my first question, probably the one you may or may not be asked before, but like, how did you start out Infinity Shred? Like, how did you meet your other members and kind of like start creating and writing music?
It's such a long journey. So it started with Damon. I forget the whole like lore and history because this was before I joined, but it started with Damon a long time ago, like definitely over 10 or so years. He had a project called Starscream that was very much like in the chiptune scene, and then had some releases with under that name, and then had to change names for legal reasons. I forget the whole story there, but had to change. So that's when Infinity Shred was officially born. And then Nate joined in. I'm pretty sure for the release of Sanctuary, which was 2 albums back. So he started adding guitar textures, and they just started writing together. And I also want to mention George Stroud was the original drummer, and he's a good friend now, and he helped us mix this last album. So even though he's no longer the drummer, he's still like very much a part of the soul of the band. And then I joined in I think 2015.
Okay.
And my background is in classical music. Actually, it's in like classical percussion. Yeah, but I also played drums my whole life, and so when Nate reached out and he was like, we actually need a new drummer because George is moving to Berlin. And I was maybe I could do that. Maybe I can like play some timpani in the band or something. But then that ended up being like a whole kind of awakening for me. I got to get more into like songwriting and more into drumming. And so we've been at it as this particular configuration of 3, I guess since 2015, and we released the last album, Long Distance, together. And then this album is, I think, our most collaborative album yet.
That's cool. And I feel like one of the things that you just mentioned, like you coming from kind of the classical realm, so like how does it differ, I guess, in comparison? Because I'm obviously not a classical music player. So how does that realm kind of change in comparison? Do you do you feel like there's certain things that you did like classically that you feel like you have transposed into some of the music you write now, or is it just kind of like they're two separate things and like you keep it like that?
I mean, kind of both. Like, they are very much separate in some way. Like, still, most of the work I do living in New York is in, like, newer classical music. So I do keep them separate in that way. But I feel like internally, like, just what my tastes are and, like, how I, write music, and also how Nate and Damon write music, because they've always kind of had, like, an inclination to cinematic and orchestral writing, like, already. So we just happen to have that in common. But in my case, like, it is sort of my other life and my other job. But I would say that like there's sort of two things to talk about with the classical thing. The one that's kind of quickest is just that it's been really interesting for me personally, like as a player, to see how the like kind of rigorous classical music training has affected like how I am as a pretty, I mean, like I feel like a lot of the drumming I do is more like definitely has metal influence and has more like intricate writing and stuff. So that actually translates directly. And I think it's something that I don't hear people talk about too much, but I think it's really fascinating. Like, a lot of metal players tend to have like the exact same kind of like technical rigor that classical musicians have. And I think they hold themselves to that same standard, and they end up like having really good practices and stuff, like really good practices, like the practice of how they get better. So that was cool to just kind of be like, oh, I like know how to like focus on doing this hard thing, but like now it's for something that I'm even more excited about than like that orchestral stuff. But so there's that. But then on a kind of writing like aesthetic, and again, this is something that I think Nate Damon and I all share in common, but just like I think we're always interested in like being influenced by things that already exist in classical music, like long form writing, you know, like narrative writing. What else? I mean, the textures for sure. Like Damon often does a thing where like he'll write something in a kind of a corny like 80s brass synth sort of a sound. And then but it's cool because then we'll have conversations about it and we'll be like, no, this section should definitely stay like corny, or not corny, but you know, like 80s-ish.
Yeah.
But then we look at another section and be like, what if we actually, you know, record the actual instruments and stuff, because we have that access. So for this release, it was the first time that we did record, like we had like trumpet, trombone, cello, violin, viola, like a little small orchestra, and did like arrangements of some of the stuff we had been writing. So that's cool to like be able to physically mix the worlds.
Yeah, and that's something that like kind of like stunned me a little bit as somebody that doesn't really come from that realm. Like I can appreciate it as being like somebody who listens to a variety of different music, and I think it's really cool to like, and that's the reason why I like asking that sort of type of question, is like, you know, from a perspective of like somebody who's really like enthralled with music, like, you know, from the perspective of like somebody who's more like classically trained, more like has rudiments and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see how that could be transposed to like metal music or like pop music or like something like that. And I think it always renders something different that like most people don't expect. So like I said, I was really really surprised at like some of the writing. I was like, ooh, this is tight. Like I would have never expected kind of like a more like bass line, like kind of metal voicing of that. And it's really interesting, and you know, I'm excited to kind of go through the rest of it and be like really just like stunned for the rest of it.
Cool.
But my next thing is you guys recently signed to 3 Dot Recordings, and I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about it a little bit. So how did that happen? And like obviously being like in the same company as like Periphery, I mean, obviously so far I feel like that's the big one, but like how's it been working with them, like the process of like doing that sort of stuff and just being kind of like, you know, involved with that basically?
Yeah. So the gist of it, sort of historically, I think, I hope I don't mess this up, is that Damon and Jake started interacting on Twitter like a long time ago.
Okay.
Yeah, Jake was really sweet. I think I think that he had heard something of ours or vice versa or something. But anyway, Damon and Jake started talking about it, and just like through that and through a couple years, they eventually invited us on one of their tours in 2017, and we just got to know them better and found out, I think, that we all had a lot in common, and they're really amazing and supportive. And yeah, and I actually remember having talks about labels then, even though they weren't quite like giving away that they were going to start their own label, but I did hear various members talk about their thoughts about working with labels and different kinds of labels, and you know, it was obviously on their mind and in their plans. So yeah, and then when they decided to go ahead with starting their own label, it's been great. It's just been really cool working with like a sort of artist run label, because they know what they've been in. I mean, they are in this position. They are in an artist position. So they know both what's functional and they've been in the business long enough that they know like what works and what doesn't. And so they can be like kind of hard and fast about some things, but then they can also be like, oh, I totally get you guys. And like, we want to help you, you know, whatever, like do what's most authentic to you and all that.
Yeah.
So
you're bringing the art back to the artist basically.
Yeah, it's cool, but within reason. Like I really think it's just a perfect balance. Like they also are like, oh, but we also have, you know, it's like practical too, you know.
Yeah,
they're like,
oh,
we also want to help you do well.
yeah, we have a business to like do, but like also we respect like that it's your art and you want people to like hear
Exactly.
about it. And so obviously it was very much facilitated by us doing an interview now. And so
Yeah.
that's really cool. And just, you know, from the perspective of like, again, loving both Periphery and now finding out about your band and just
Mhm.
like listening to your guys' stuff and just really digging it. It's cool to see that
Yeah.
that was kind of facilitated over time. It wasn't something like, oh, like this immediately happened, like we found out about it on YouTube, or
Yeah.
like we found out about it on like somewhere else. Like it was very much like almost like a family kind of thing. So
Totally. Yeah, it felt very organic.
I feel like that's really cool, just from somebody that like, you know, wants to get into the industry and know that there's still people out there that like, you know, care about people putting out their art and making sure people find
Absolutely.
out about it. So um,
Yeah, they're definitely like that. They're the best.
awesome. Well, you know, I want to talk them up, but like, you know, I feel like I wanted to give them their due time as well. Uh,
No, yeah.
but my next question, Clara, like you said, you've been touring. You guys do a lot of touring. So what are some favorite venues you'd like to play at or catch a show at in your hometown?
Oh, in a hometown. Good question.
Thank
Well,
you.
I feel like the the first things that come to mind are like obviously. I mean, we've played at St. Vitus a couple times, and it always
Nice.
feels like home playing there. And I mean, honestly, I have a horrible brain for memory stuff like this. Nate and Damon are always like, remember Joe from whatever venue in Pittsburgh? He was like the stage. I'm like, what? And I feel bad. I actually wish I had a better memory for it. I don't. Anyway, but but obviously, like they're great venues that like the band has played at
Mhm.
before my time, like in the early kind of chiptune sort of days.
Mhm.
That I'm sure they would have spoken more about. But and then more recently, like as far as going to shows, I mean, we some friends of ours run this venue elsewhere
Okay.
in Bushwick that is just an awesome venue. They've been just doing really, really well at like at their booking, and it's just a like fun place to
It's
go
like a
to.
friends hangout kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, but it's nice because it is a decent sized venue, and they
Mhm.
have multiple rooms and a roof, and it just feels like a vibrant place. And then yeah, so that's always great. And then in my case, I mean, one of the things that we've been talking about as we're looking to book more shows
Mhm.
locally in the next year is talking about doing some more like unconventional shows for bands and for metal bands. I guess
Mhm.
like we've been looking at some venues that are more in the like experimental music or classical music realm that are kind of
Oh,
more like theatery, like small
yeah.
theaters, and trying to get more like theatrical about a show potentially, especially if we'd like maybe want to do a show with the orchestral musicians who we involved
Yeah, that'd be
on this
awesome.
last album. Yeah, we're just kind of like letting ourselves daydream a little bit about versions of shows that are like not as much conventional, like just playing the rock club and that's it. But those there, it's obviously like hard to do that too. So we're just kind of
Yeah.
in the planning stages of that.
Well, I hope you get around to doing it because
Yeah,
I love when bands do stuff like that. Like
yeah,
I'm a huge Deer Hunter fan. I'm not sure if you're
yeah,
familiar with what he does, but like he does like he like for the tour he's coming up, like he has like an orchestral like
yeah.
arrangement of his new record. So like I
Cool.
feel like it's not out of the realm. You could definitely do it.
Yeah.
And that would be awesome. So
Thanks. Yeah, we want to.
hopefully this will, you know, it's on the internet forever. So hopefully this will just be a
Yeah.
subtle reminder to just be like, hey, you know that thing that we said in this interview that we should do? We should definitely still do it.
Do it. Still do
Awesome.
it. Yeah.
Next question, Claire, to kind of follow up the venues. What was the last show that you attended that you didn't play?
That I attended that I didn't play.
Correct.
Think I think that in my case, wait, let me think. Oh yeah, I was sick. On last weekend, a friend of mine DJ'd an event that was actually in Central Park. It was like
Oh,
part of their summer series,
cool.
and yeah, he goes by Principe Q, and he's from Corpus Christi. He's sort of known for like chop and screw cumbia style stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his aunt, I believe, was Selena, and this event is called Selena for Sanctuary, and it was all sort of
Oh, that's
focusing on
cool.
like immigrant rights and everything. They just had all these guest artists like Cal Uchis and yeah, just like a fun. It was a fun kind of like show. I hadn't been to a show like that in a while. That it was like outdoors. The crowd was like really, really into it, and it was for like a social justice cause. But like all the music was just really great, kind of in that sort of cumbia, like Mexican American kind of influence stuff. So that was pretty sick.
That sounds like a great time. I'm kind of remiss
Yeah.
that I missed out on it.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Next question, Claire, the big one. Who are some of your
Oh
musical
no.
influences? Who do you draw from? And I guess you can kind of give like an overarching theme of like what bands that like the Infinity Shred kind of like borrow from.
Okay. I'm gonna try my best.
There we go. All right, I'm ready.
So yeah, I mean, again, I kind of feel like I'm one of the cool things about our band is that since it's so collaborative, like I'm definitely a third of it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's influences that Damon has that are like not my personal influences that are, you know what I mean? No, I'm not saying
Yeah.
like I don't love it, but like he's
No.
like brought me into entire scenes and worlds that I didn't know about. And same with
Sure.
Nate. So I guess to do the like vague divide, I mean, I wish that I could just like call Damon real quick, but like I feel like Damon had a lot of the like electronic, synth based, synth wave, all that kind of scene influences, of which I can't think of like any names at the moment.
It's all right.
um, and then and then Nate has just taught me a lot about like basically metal scene, and you know, like I feel like the stuff that stuck out most to me when like as far as writing is like, you know, more in the kind of black metal atmospheric sort of realm,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
whether it's
Yeah.
like Suno or like I don't know, just like I for me I love like all that whole world of like textural kind of atmospheric metal.
Yeah.
Um and then I feel like we're really influenced by like bands we've toured with and look up to, whether it's like Periphery or The Contortionist or
Hmm.
our friends in Astronoid are
Yeah.
definitely influential. Yeah, and then in my case, I don't know, I really love like Zombie because that's been really influential on like the drumming style
Okay.
that I like to incorporate into the band because Zombie just kind of has this nice like dark, older, like simple synthwave sound, and like
Yeah. Yeah.
the I don't know, the drummer is just like very heavy but also like tasty. And I've always been into like incorporating that kind of like heavy, tasty kind of sound. Yeah, and then there's all like in my case, I don't know, I'm really inspired by like ambient artists
Okay.
and like yeah, current orchestral stuff that's happening. Sorry, I told you about my memory, right? I told you it's like not details based. It's all abstract. It's all concepts.
It's
I'm really
okay.
bad at like remembering names on the spot.
It's all good. Maybe that's just fate telling us that we have to do another one, another interview in the future.
Yes.
But it's really cool because like I also feel like you guys borrow a lot from like which I had no idea actually that you guys like tour with like the Contortionist, Astronoid.
Mhm.
I feel like you do borrow a lot from that, and obviously being
Mhm.
label mates with like Periphery, I can hear that sort of influence, but at the same point, it's just something different that I really, ironically enough, can't put my finger on. Usually, I'm pretty decisive on like if a band can't like really pinpoint like what bands they kind of emulate or sound like, you know, obviously within reason. But
Yeah.
I feel like it's really genuinely hard for me to kind of like because I'm trying to think of like bands that I'm like, yeah, they have like a familiar
Yeah.
sound, but like you
Yeah.
do and it's not to sound like cliche whatsoever, but like it really does feel like you guys bring something like fresh and new to the
Thanks.
table.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I guess this is, yeah, maybe important to say. Like, I don't think any of us are interested in sounding like in emulating something,
Sure.
if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like, I don't know if that sounds cocky. I just think that like we're just genuinely not interested in that. Like we're all influenced by stuff. We absorb like everything we love, but
Sure.
I feel like when we're writing, we're really just like drawing from those things, like cherry picking, you know, being
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I love this guitar sound, or what if we make this thing get gradually faster because like I heard that in a classical piece, or what, you know what I mean? Like it's just concepts more so
Yeah.
than it is like, oh, we're trying to like emulate this vibe or this style.
And
So
I don't
yeah, I guess that's maybe in part why it's like hard to really pinpoint it down.
and I don't think it's necessarily being cocky, because like I feel like a lot of people would say like, oh yeah, she's like being really cocky about her music, and I would be like, no. And the reason why I believe that's not the case is because, like, everybody has different influences. I just, when I ask that sort of question, it's like, I want to see, like, if somebody likes this band, they may like this. Like, if you're a fan of
Yeah, yeah,
basically,
yeah.
like, you might like this. So,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
everybody has different influences. Everybody has different ways of going about writing their stuff. And so, I don't think it's necessarily being cocky about it. I think it's just, I like when I can't place something on a band, because then
Yeah.
it's just like, now I need to show people it, because it's like so not out of concept, but like just so different from what I do, what I typically listen to, or like what I feel like I would like. And so, and
Cool.
it's
Yeah.
cool to get other people like being like, oh wow, I have no I like this sounds fresh. And I love when metal
Yeah.
like artists really kind of take a chance on what they write, because I
Yeah.
think it's not only expressive for the people that are playing it, and also can get into it more so like in a live setting, but also like as a person that listens to a ton of metal, listens to a ton of indie, listens to a ton of whatever. It's always
Yeah.
nice to having that one band that's, or a few different bands that have that fresh sound, that their records don't sound like, like, oh, I heard this like 2 years ago. It's just like
Yeah,
brand
right,
new
right,
stuff that's like fresh off the press, that I think
right.
is really cool. So if
Yeah, cool.
if that's
Appreciate it.
if that's any consolation to say, keep doing what you do. That's
Thanks.
um, but my next question, keeping it more relevant, Clara. Who have you been jamming recently? What's on your Spotify? What have you been bumping lately?
Let me open up my Spotify.
There you go.
um, yeah, it's kind of weird actually, isn't it? How like in the Spotify age, like, and we're talking about like memory and stuff. I often feel I'll like totally blank on stuff. People are like, "What are you listening to?" I'm like, "I don't know. I have to open up my Spotify," and I'm like kind of pissed about that sometimes. I'm like, I should know. But yeah, but I literally am gonna open up my Spotify. Let's see. No, I mean, I don't know. What am I listening to? I can do this.
You can do it,
um,
Clara. I got you. I got faith.
I can do this. I can do this. I mean, I'm a big fan of ambient music. I also write ambient music under my own name,
Oh,
and
tight.
yeah, and I feel like that I'm not so much. Once again, I'm not so much picking out specific artists, but I often end up on like Bandcamp best ambient playlists and stuff because I'm really
Okay.
interested in
Okay.
seeing like whoever's bedroom project, you know, like that's most ambient
Yeah.
music. Like
Absolutely.
there are only so many big names in the field. It's mostly just like small people like making really beautiful music.
Sure.
So all about that. What else have I been listening to? I don't know. I checked out Billie Eilish the other day for the first
Oh,
time. Very
interesting.
surprised.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very surprised.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I don't think I have an opinion. I was just surprised. I didn't I didn't know at all what to expect. Not bad. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was listening to the band Boredoms. Are you familiar
Oh,
with them?
yeah, that's awesome.
Kind of yeah, they're really interesting. A friend of mine, John Colpitz, he is the drummer for the band Oneida, and he did an interview on Modern Drummer of their drummer, I think one of their drummers,
Oh, that's cool.
and she just had this like crazy way of thinking about drumming and writing music that was really inspirational. So I started checking them out more seriously. They're cool and kind of wild. I don't know, I was listening to the now not so new Astronoid album, but I love
Yes,
going back to it. Their
it's sick.
self-titled album. Yeah, it's very
So good.
good. Okay, I'm just going through my albums here. I'm
There you go. Keep
there's
going, Clara.
on the thanks on the classical side of things, there's a current composer named John Luther Adams
Okay.
who has a really awesome series of pieces that are called like well like just the most recent one he put out is called Become Desert. He has Become Ocean, and then he has another one like Become River, I think.
Oh,
And
that's
they're all
sick.
just these like really yeah, and honestly I feel like anyone who'd be into like atmospheric metal or whatever could like jam to his music because it's all just these like long form massive sound where he uses like an orchestra, but it's like it changes really slowly over time, and it's really really beautiful. So I'm into that. I like going back to like old Queens of the Stone Age stuff, like Songs
Oh,
for the Deaf.
wow. Okay, okay.
Always into some desert rock. What else? Oh yeah, King Woman is a big influence for me and something I listen to. I've been listening to a lot. King Woman is one of two acts by I don't know her name. But there's King Woman and Miserable, and those are both just sort of uh solid like I don't really know where to put them on the spectrum. Like they like open for metal bands and stuff, but they are a little bit like they have kind of a sludgy vibe to them, but it's also
Oh,
like a little more dramatic and beautiful and like yeah, led by this woman who just writes these like really great powerful songs. So big fan of theirs. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this would be a good occasion for me to like shout out friends, but I just like not
oh
coming to
man.
mind.
Well,
I know.
if you come
Oh
up
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah. No, I got one. I got one. I
okay,
got
okay,
one.
okay, okay, okay. I'll let you
Okay,
go.
something I've been listening to is unreleased, so woo, very exciting. But
Ooh.
but a friend of mine who lives in Tokyo, who goes by 4L, like four letter L in
Okay.
a row. um, I've always adored his music, and I think as a band we all really respect the music he writes. Feels also similarly like hard to pin down a genre for it.
Mhm.
But he just like everything he puts out, I think, is gold. And so he just sent me a like to be released kind of
Oh.
first draft of an album, and I've been really loving it and listening to it a lot. So check him out because he deserves a lot more credit, and he's just like putting out really amazing music.
I love when I get like stuff early. That's
I
like
know it's fun.
that's like the giddy feeling. Like you're like, oh man, no one else has heard. I mean, only
Yeah,
the other people that have heard it have been like him and like maybe like if he's on a label or something. Like that's cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's when I was
Exactly. Yeah,
like the Infinity Shred stuff. I was like, ooh, I gotta check this out now because it's like new stuff. It's like unreleased. No one has heard it yet. Like that's the
yeah,
type of feeling I get when I listen to stuff that's unreleased. But
for
um,
sure.
we're gonna roll into the next question, Claire, which is a fun one. If you could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
Ooh, we've spoken about that before. I have to work on my memory. Okay, if we could choose songs to cover. Oh yeah, yeah. I know personally, I really would love to do like a Madonna song or something, like "Open Up Your Heart," like something that's just
Okay.
very, very like upbeat, kind of like poppy '80s. I feel like if we
Yeah.
did just like a really heavy cover of a song like that, it could be awesome. I think that kind of contrast is great.
Yeah.
Um, what else? We've like definitely had like rolling jokes about covers before, but I can't think of any right now. But yeah, for me it's like Madonna or like an '80s rock ballad or something. Maybe like Love
Okay.
Bites by Def Leppard.
Oh.
Something
Okay.
something in that realm.
Okay.
Maybe a Prince song. I don't know.
Oh. All right.
But definitely I feel like we would go '80s if we want covers.
I could definitely hear you guys do that, for
Yeah.
sure. But for those of you who are listening slash watching this, you should let them know in the comments what they should cover. It should
Yes.
probably be preferably 80s, but if
Yes.
I'm sure they're not
Anything
opposed to,
goes.
I'm sure anything is on the table. But I know they want to be in the 80s, so if you give them a good 80s song to cover, maybe they might consider it.
It
You
could
never know.
happen. Could
Awesome.
happen. I actually just remembered one other thing.
There
Are
we
you
go.
aware of Are you aware of Chuck Tingle, the sci-fi erotica novelist?
I can't say I am.
Amazing, influential person. We're big fans of his in the band. You can check him out on social media, and we follow him on Twitter, and we use a piece of his merch, which is just like the most ridiculous, beautiful thing, where it's like an airplane that kind of looks like a sexy male model. Like, and he like photoshopped the two images together, and it's like the premise of one of his books. It's really good. And so we had like this towel of that, and we were using it for our merch table when
Oh
we're on
my
tour with
God.
Astronoid. And we tweeted at Chuck Tingle with a photo of it, and he answered back, and he was like, I forget his phrasing. It was really incredible, but he was like, "Please cover this song, band by name of Infinity Shred." And he did give us a link to a I don't even remember what it was, but it's just some like really piano heavy, like pretty corny song. And I
Oh
don't know.
man.
I think if there's something that we're like most like closest to covering, it's probably going to be that, just because we need to make Chuck Tingle happy and
Yeah.
proud of what we do.
I just think the sentiment of having a male model airplane
Yeah.
hybrid is just, you already sold me
Oh, I
on
mean,
that.
it's amazing.
I'm already sold on whatever that
Good.
is, and I need
Yeah.
to find out what's going on with that. So
Yeah, no, you have to find out. And also on our, if you look, I think on our, I don't know if it's just Twitter or Instagram, but if you check it out, you'll see photos of our merch on his merch, and it's really special.
that is awesome. I love that.
Yes,
But my
yes.
next question is another fun one as well, Clara. Gotta ask, favorite food to eat?
Ooh, so one special fact about our band is that we all really love food and drinks, and it's a passion we all share in
There
some
we
way or
go. Look,
another.
it was right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah. I think we all love cooking. We like get into weird cooking modes of just like Damon will get really into like, I want to make every kind of fried chicken, or like or like tomato sauces for days, and then Nate loves cooking. I love cooking. I don't know. Okay, but favorite foods to eat. Okay, I'm gonna answer as a band, not as individuals. Um, one of the spots that we've had like the most band meetings in is a restaurant called Copelia that's in like near Union Square,
Okay.
and big fans. It's a 24/7 Cuban diner,
Oh,
and they
yes.
have like a cocktail happy hour and just incredible food. And their nachos are so far the best nachos I've had in my life. And so that's just like a solid overall choice. We go there, we'll get like ceviche and nachos and some cheap cocktails, and like get our band business talks done. And it's a good way to do it.
Can I just join you guys next time? That would be
Yeah,
amazing.
actually.
I mean, the reason why I usually ask this is because, ironically enough, I also cook as well. So like,
Yeah.
I love like if I ever like go to a different city and like I want to see a show, then I'm like, yo, like what's the best food spots? Like I need to know what some of the
Yeah,
best food
same.
spots in the cities are. So I always ask that
Same.
in the hopes that I find a really dope food spot. Like if I go to like Dallas
Yeah,
or I go to like Austin or something, or I get some like good
totally.
like like some good barbecue or something like that. I'm
For sure.
always on the hunt, Claire. So
Yeah, we know that life. We do that too. We like, I think that if there's one thing that we're really lucky about is that when we're on tour, I think we all care a lot about food. Like it's
Sure.
not like one of us is like, oh, I'm just going to go like get my own thing or like not eat or whatever. We're all like planning out our meals together because like, all right, we're going to be in this town. We have to get like the thing it's famous for. Let's go.
Yeah.
And we make it happen.
I'm
So
glad
yeah,
you're
I feel
very
you.
I'm glad you're very communal about it. Like everybody's got to be on board with getting the best, or maybe not the best, but like, the local cuisine. I'm
Most
all
like
about that.
memorable. Yeah, we just want like the most memorable thing. We were in Chicago in June, and we've like all been to Chicago a bunch. So
Yeah.
we don't necessarily have to like do whatever famous whatever. We just wanted like something interesting.
Mhm.
And a friend of Damon's recommended a Chinese restaurant that was in Chinatown, and the food was delicious. But he was like, here's the insider information is that they serve French toast and it's off menu.
Wait, what?
And it's the best French toast you'll ever have. And we're like, what? And so we go there. It's, you know, like a legit delicious restaurant and stuff. We
Yeah,
order all of
yeah.
our stuff. And Damon is like casually like trying to play it cool and like order the French toast, but like we're all nervous about it. We're like, are they going to give us the French toast or are we in, you know? And she actually said like, she was like, let me see about it. And she turned and like spoke to someone else and then came back and she was like, okay, yeah, you can have French toast. And, and then, yeah, along with all of our like really delicious Chinese food came two French toasts and they had like a sort of a condensed milk kind of like creamy icing thing on it. Like
Oh,
it sounds crazy. It was like very buttery and like they were just so good. It was messed up. And we were all just freaking out about how like we're eating this French toast amongst like other Chinese food. And anyway, it's that kind of stuff that we live for.
it sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
I feel like I've really struck home with this question, and I'm so
Yeah.
stoked about it because like I've had people on that have like been like you know baseline level like foodie, but like I feel like you guys
Yeah.
are like high tier like foodie lovers. So like
I
this
think we're like baseline, but we very much rely on insider tips.
there we go. Well,
That's
if
us.
anybody wants to provide either of us with more inside tips, feel free
We're
to
here for
slide
it.
into those DMs. I would
Yes.
love to hear about some good spots,
Yes,
wherever you live.
always.
But my next question, Clara, getting back into more of the music related stuff, if you could pick somebody to collaborate with, whether it be a guest vocalist on your next record or a producer you'd like to work with in the future, who would it be?
Yeah. We kind of have a rolling list of like vocalists
Mm-hmm.
who we'd be interested in working with because as an instrumental band, I don't think we feel like we need to. I mean, we're our primary like interest is writing instrumental music,
Sure.
but we've all been tempted by it and like feel like if the occasion's right, it would be fun to work
Yeah.
with a vocalist of some sort. So like on this last record is actually the first time that there are any vocals at all. I sing a little bit on a couple tracks, just like vocal textures.
Oh,
And
tight.
then I think both Nate and Damon have like little screamy moments that are like in very kind of buried within textures. So they help like give a certain human aspect to it, but none of it is front and center because I think we're all just like ashamed and like nervous about our voices. But we still like we're interested, you know. So yeah, so I don't know. We were talking to like I don't know, who are the people? Like Nathan from Horse the band is a friend
Ooh.
who I don't want to like I don't want to like put it too much out there if he's like not down, but we like I think that Damon's spoken to him about it a couple times about
There you
like
go.
potentially collaborating on something with him and who else? I mean, honestly, that the woman who I was talking about who has King Woman and Miserable, I think her voice is like really, really, really beautiful. It has this
Yeah.
like it's pretty low, but has this like powerful, like emotional grittiness to it, and
Sure.
I think that would be amazing. But we don't know her personally. What else? Yeah, producers. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty much like the answer is mostly just like getting more comfortable with collaborating with like vocalists and stuff and
Yeah.
seeing what could come of that.
I feel like well, first of all, I mean the reason I like asking this question is because you never know. Like it's these things that
Yeah.
somebody stumbles across a video and they're like, this is really cool. I like what they do. Like, and it could happen. Like from
Mhm.
Nate from Horse the Band. If you want to do that, I'll be out here giving the cosign to Infinity Shred for the Horse the Band collaboration track.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Listen. If anybody wants to take the ropes, I'll take the ropes. You should do it, Nate. Definitely. But like I always love asking it, especially I think I would like it more so for like instrumental bands because it's something that I feel like a lot of people when somebody listens to like an instrumental band that isn't really like I guess per se a fan of it or like isn't knowledgeable about it, I feel like they need that like you were saying like that human aspect to their music. And so, I feel like when, instrumental bands do have vocalists on some tracks. Like I think it really adds that nice human touch to it, but also adds
Yeah.
like a nice textural element that is already like included in what you do as like an instrumental band. That like I feel like a lot of instrumental bands try to fill that role of having a vocalist with like a lot of really cool textures or a lot of cool like ambient
Hmm.
elements. And so I feel like that not only having a guest vocalist on a track accentuates those things, but also kind of like brings a cool aspect to the instrumental part of the music as well. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we feel the same way. We're always just like tentative to go there, you know, but I think that as soon as we start doing it, we'll realize that it's like it's I'm sure it'll be like really rewarding to have that. So, yeah, so I think that's a potential future collab.
there we go. Well, I'm glad I could give you guys the cone sign for that. But my next question, Clara, you're a classical artist, so as well as not only an instrumental band, but like, what is another
Mhm.
musical instrument that you would like to be proficient at? I'm curious on your answer on this one because I've never really had this per se. So here's what your answer will be.
Yeah, I think my answer is weird because I actually am like a rare situation where I play a bunch of other instruments and like I don't really feel like I want to learn more. I'm like, I'm good. I got marimba, I got drums, I got vibraphone, I have like all the mallets. Like I spent a lot of time learning like a whole bunch of instruments.
Hmm.
I'm actually kind of the opposite where what I would like to get more proficient at is like production and
Oh, okay.
like feeling really solid at like my knowledge of Ableton and expanding to other DAWs and stuff because that's a world that Damon and Nate are really proficient in. Like Damon is mostly self-taught, but just like very tech smart, and he knows like computers inside and out and
Yeah.
stuff. So that's like his background. Nate has a degree in like music technology, and he also like works as a audio engineer and composer. So like
Oh, cool.
that's his role too. So I basically learned like through osmosis, like working with them
Yeah.
on like existing tracks when I first joined, and I just like basically have my head over their shoulders and like learn gradually and then like ask them questions. So it's cool. I actually feel really lucky. I got like an education in something slowly and over time and from like patient people who are down to just like answer my questions. But but in my case, I would love to feel like way more confident about my capabilities in that realm because then I think, yeah, I don't know. I think we could just like be even more on the same page. We work in a program called Splice. That's it's like an Ableton Dropbox kind of a thing.
Oh,
So it's
tight.
just a
Yeah.
way for us to like, yeah, like all work on the same project from our separate homes. And a lot of time when we're like starting a song, someone will just like start a thing and then upload it on Splice, and whoever is like inspired by it will just like start layering up and like adding more elements. So I feel like still where I am in the band, I feel that I'll like wait for the song to kind of start taking form, and then I'll be like, okay, now I'm gonna like double this thing and da 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 and like destroy this section. And I'm good at like taking something that exists already and then like rethinking it. But I think that one of my weaknesses is just like starting something from scratch. So yeah, so I don't know. That's the instrument I want to get better at. Computer.
I like that a lot because like I said, I really haven't had somebody that's just been like, I know a lot of instruments and I really don't want to know more. Uh
Yeah.
so I think that's really cool because like, again, going back to your point that you made a little bit earlier about, you know, writing your own music as well as obviously Infinity Shred. Um I think that's really cool from that perspective of like wanting to better yourself as a producer and like creating your own
Hmm.
music and stuff like that. I think that's really commendable, and I think like a lot of people don't really like. They're all like, oh, like I want to learn like 12 different instruments. Like
Yeah.
like you're like, oh well, I want to like get better at like kind of formulating what I do as an artist. So
Right.
definitely props
Yeah,
to
because
you.
no matter what, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead, fish.
Yeah, I feel like no matter what, it's like it's always a grass is greener kind of situation where
Yeah.
if you've spent like 20 years of your life becoming proficient at instruments, like you might be in a creative deficit. And if you spent so much of your life like so creatively active, but you never really spent time to like feel really confident on an instrument, you end up craving that. And I know like that's the case for, I think I can speak for Nate and Damon, that like they've had really rich creative lives for the last, 15, 20 years. And so they are, they're like in that mindset of that's where they always like started and are very like talented in. And they end up being like, oh, I want to have like they'll like want to practice more, like get better at their instruments or whatever, like in a more performance way. And we kind of just like talk about that because we're all like somewhere on that spectrum, and they're just trying to like find the right balance.
Yeah, I also like how you just like flipped the question on me, and I was just really stoked about that. You're like, oh well, I don't really want to play another instrument. I just want to do like more production stuff. So cool flip. I always love when bands do that because it keeps me on my toes, and I like that.
Solid.
My next question, Clara, I don't know how big of a video game fan you are, so this question may or may not hit well.
Oh, damn. I want Damon to be here for it, but go for it.
My question is, if you could be a video game character, who would you be?
Oof, yeah, I'm not the right person. So the only video game that, but it's sad because like Damon loves video games, Nate loves video games.
Man.
I know they met for their shared, not met, they like became friends in their shared love of Mass Effect. And I know
man.
I've been a part of this, but I'm not like firsthand. It's not my scene. But I will say that if there's one nerdy game that I definitely spent time in because it's such a like non-gamers game, it was Stanley's Parable. Have you played that?
Oh yes. Oh man, that's
the
awesome.
Like heady office game, and I just loved that it was so like heady and kind of a mind trip. And so let's just go ahead and say that I would be Stanley, just exploring the eternal void of office land, trying to find my way.
I like that. I like how because typically this is the part where we sit in awkward silence because I feel like just a dweeb about liking video games so much. So I'm glad you really kind of dug deep and
gave it a try
and gave it a shot. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate that because that was I've had that before and it's been rough. So I'm glad you picked.
Yeah,
also,
well, definitely like tweet at Damon and Nate or something and get their answers because they'll be like, oh, I know it's this person. I don't know. They'll have an answer.
I'm gonna get like a memoir on Twitter about like which character they have, and I'm totally copying pasting that and putting it in this video. So I will definitely reach out to them and let them know what's going on. And I also like how you just picked a very unconventional answer, and so I'm stoked on that as well.
It's like the one game I spent time with.
Awesome. Next question, Clara, getting back into the music stuff as well, because I always love switching it up. But if you could compile a dream tour, who would be on the lineup?
Oh, I think we've spoken about like dream tour lineup stuff. And I mean, I think it would be great to tour with like one of the big post-rock bands, like Mono or Godspeed You Black Emperor, or Explosion in the Sky or something. Like just to do one of those. Yeah, to do one of those would just feel like, I don't know, most in line with like I think our emotional vibe, like I don't know how our shows feel and what like touring is like and stuff. I just think we'd be really compatible with those kinds of post-rock bands. I don't know. But if we want to go crazy, like if we could do a show that's like with 9 Inch Nails or something, like that would be nuts.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I would go crazy if I could do something in relation with Bjork, because she's like one of my biggest idols. But I don't necessarily see the band opening for Bjork, but you never know.
Listen, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You never know.
You never know. But yeah, I don't know. We talk about bills a lot. This is like not so much talking about like dream lineup, but we do talk about how like what's our ideal bill
Sure.
as far as like, because we're kind of a little bit of a lot of things, like our ideal bill is one where the other bands kind of balance us out, you know, like
Yeah.
maybe have like if we're second on a bill, it's fun to have um like an even more intense like metal band or something after
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
who can kind of like take it to the next step. But then like maybe before us have a really sick like electronic artist who like metal fans like might not necessarily be supporting, but we can
Yeah.
kind of like bridge that gap, you know? so so that's on a more practical level, I think that's something we're interested in. And also like just to be real, I think that something that I'm like grateful that we can talk about pretty openly as a band is like we're also we try to be mindful about like how billing can like be important in terms of like exposure and stuff. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the time we'll like talk about like a potential opening band for a show or something, and we'll be like listing off possibilities, and I'll kind of just be devil's advocate and I'll be like, hey, how many of those artists are like female artists, you know? And they'll be like, oh
Yeah.
shit, we just named like 20 dudes. And like and you know when there are like little imbalances like that, you know, or like it's I don't know, we're like aware of it, you know what I mean? Like it's we're not making all of our decisions based off of those politics, but
Yeah,
like
sure.
we do feel like, you know, the metal scene like tends to have a lot of white guys, and like
That's
we
very
are
true.
interested in like showing a slightly different side of that and like helping like other acts that like maybe could use more representation and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just got
a
way too like
diverse
deep and heady.
group of people. Like I always love
Yeah,
when I see like I mean I love seeing female artists like just really rip
yeah,
it. Like that's tight. Like,
totally,
you know, I think it's really cool, and it's something that I try to promote in like what I do. And you know,
totally.
I like having just like, you know, just people, even if it's not like necessarily female, just like other people from other backgrounds, you know, that
Yeah,
aren't akin to my own. And so
exactly. And it doesn't matter. Like different genres have different stereotypes. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So
sure.
it's more just like being having an awareness of whatever genre you're playing in, and like playing with those stereotypes, and yeah, just like making it like a little bit more inclusive and stuff. So yeah, so I can tell you my dream lineup, it would be like super diverse, all over the place. It would be like 5 famous post rock bands and Bjork.
There you go. Well, I'm glad we had the Infinity Shred Festival. I'm all about it. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
if you guys
Yeah.
do it in the future, just, you know, I just want that. I just want to just be mentioned, like be like, wow,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Brandon's got this. He's tight. Like,
Yeah, inspired by Brandon.
inspired by me. I appreciate it. You know, that's all I want.
TM.
No money. I just want to know that I'm being represented a little bit in that in that respect.
Exactly.
Um,
We'll make sure to shout out.
well, thank you. My next question, Claire, kind of to follow up the Dream Tour lineup. In your opinion, who puts on a great live show?
Well, to kind of reference back to what I was just talking about is mono live for the first time
Oh, cool.
recently, and I think Nate and Damon have seen it several times.
Hmm.
But and I knew, like, I guess I also kind of had this hype because I think the last couple of times they played in New York, I couldn't go to the shows, so I knew that like they were going, and I was like pissed that I couldn't go. And so this last time, I was like, finally, I'm seeing mono, and I don't know. I went in just being like, it kind of felt like band homework, you know? Like, I know that we're all influenced by them. And like, okay, so by the way, I'm giving you a little answer to when I couldn't answer earlier about influences. We're
There you
definitely
go.
influenced by mono. Yeah. And I like, but then I didn't expect to go and just be like shattered. Like, I was just like crying the whole time. And
I
I was
feel
like
that.
almost mad about it. Yeah. I was just like destroyed the whole time, you know? And it was so good. But like I didn't know, it felt like magic. Like I didn't know how they were capable of just like, it wasn't like, oh, that was an emotional moment, like, and now I'm over it. I was just like, it like kept getting worse and worse and worse. I was like, you're just like messing me up more and more and more. and there's like no way out. It was just like that the whole show. um, but that being said, like they're incredible musicians and songwriters, and it's really like amazing to see them live. It just feels like really pure and raw and like powerful, and yeah, it's like difficult, like it feels like
Yeah.
it's a strenuous show. Like you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but at the same time, it's like worth every second. And it just, yeah, it's like the most emotional density that I've experienced like in a live set.
You're feeling a rush of all those emotions like at a show and stuff. That's like
Mhm.
one if not like my favorite feeling when I go to see a show. Like obviously I'm like there to do work like I'd say 95% of
Yeah.
the time, but like whenever I
Mhm.
get that moment when I see a band on stage, even if I'm like recording something, like I could feel like the hairs come up like on my arms and like I
Yeah,
get the chills. Like I love that cuz it's like
totally.
wow, that is so cool, and it just like makes me feel like more invested with the band. So, I
For
feel like
sure. Yeah.
not to toot your own horn, but like I feel like what you guys are like writing now, like what you guys have put out, I feel like I definitely got that in like some
Cool.
sections of songs. I'm like, wow, this is like really sick. So,
Yeah. Thanks.
if that isn't like a selling point to check out the band, guys, definitely do so. But it's just so cool. So hopefully I'll see it live and have that same reactionary
Yeah.
kind of feeling as well. Um,
Yeah, I hope so.
but my next question, Claire, get into some fun stuff as well. Favorite TV show, favorite movie.
Ooh, let's see. Favorite TV show. I mean, this is maybe not answering like favorite, but
Okay.
I've been I've been really amazed by. So I've been watching The Sopranos for the first time,
Oh, okay. Interesting.
and yeah, and I just feel really amazed by the fact that like I completely missed out at the time, and just like did not watch it, was not really aware. I was like, yeah, it's a mafia show. And I've been watching it now, and I watch it really slowly. There's something about it that like makes me not binge. So I'll watch like one episode every couple weeks or something.
Hmm.
And I just think it's so well made, and it's like, and it's really underrated. I think that the whole idea of like, oh, it's a mafia show or whatever, like it's just like a psychology show in my mind. And I think like what they, yeah, I don't know, it's just like really, really good. Every time I watch one, I feel like, wow, that was like a movie. Like that was so good. um, so, and it's fun to just kind of have this like exploring of that time and place. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm from I'm from LA. I'm not from here, but I've lived here for 10 years, and yeah, just to see like New York circa 2000, like it's an interesting thing, to
Yeah.
like remember some of what my life was like in 2000, but then like, yeah, but see it through the eyes of like this kind of New Jersey mafia like angle. And anyway, I don't know. That's really interesting to me. Favorite movie? Okay, well, I guess actually I kind of do have a favorite movie. It's the movie by Lars von Trier, Melancholia.
Okay.
And it's, I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't really, it's usually hard for me to like boil things down to favorites, but Melancholia is just like so intense and beautiful, and like I think I'm really interested in both in TV and movies. I'm really interested in things that have like a sci-fi undertone to them, but the
Yeah. Okay.
sci-fi, like it's not, but it's like a sci-fi genre. You know what I mean? Like it's primarily a different genre. It's like a horror or a comedy or a
Hmm.
drama that happens to have like the setting is a little sci-fi, but it's
Okay.
not like all about that. I just feel like it's a really cool angle. Like I really loved Gravity for that same reason, because
Yeah.
and Gravity came out around the same time as Interstellar, so everyone was like, Gravity sucked, Interstellar is the best. And I'm like, both were good. I mean, Interstellar was great. I'm not saying it's not, but like Interstellar is a sci-fi movie. It's like a really amazing, thoughtful sci-fi movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Gravity is a human drama. It's a story of like a woman who lost a child and is like now like an engineer on a spaceship, like kind of against her will. And like I don't know, but like it's like I love when the setting is like sci-fi, but the story is actually like not. And so Melancholia, the whole background is that it's like there's like a planet that may or may not collide with Earth. It's kind of bullshit. It's not like sciencey, but it's just like this really surreal, amazing interpretation of like one family's dealing with that knowledge and like how the weather starts to like change slightly as this planet approaches. And yeah, it's just like pretty surreal and beautiful, and it like taps into a lot of different feelings and concepts all in one movie. It's also like 3 hours long,
Oh
so
my
if
gosh.
you watch it, like brave yourself. But yeah,
Awesome. I like those
yeah,
answers. I'll have to go check out Melancholia because
yeah,
I feel like I'd be about it. Like just
I think so. Yeah,
awesome. Awesome.
that's
Next
solid.
question, Clara. If you're trapped on a desert island for the next month and there
Mm.
was one album you could bring with you, what album would it be?
Oh shit. One album on a desert island. Okay. Okay. I think I got it. I would maybe regret it, but this is my answer. Um,
It's
but
just
also,
one
like,
month
wouldn't
though.
you potentially regret any choice? You know what I mean? Like having to listen
Yeah.
to the same thing on
Yeah.
repeat. Like, there's a big potential for regret. But
But
I
it's not forever though, you know?
oh, I
I
see,
feel
I
like
see. Yeah, it's potentially forever, but maybe not.
I feel like I would give it a month, and then you would probably want to just be like, "This is I can't do it anymore."
Great. Okay, yeah. So it helps you for that first month. Got it. So, so I think the album would be by the ambient artist Illusium,
Okay.
and the album is called, oh no, it's like something and the trees in the trees, I think. Let me look it up real quick. Illusium. I told you my memory is really bad. Amongst the trees. That's it.
Ah, okay. We're close.
It's really amazing. I've like as a band, we all talk about this album. It's just like this really, 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 really well written, gorgeous ambient album that I've used. Like, I feel like there's albums that I listen to because it's great music, and then it's very rare, but there are a couple albums like this one that I use kind of like medicine. Like, there are
Mhm.
times where I feel like it's not that like I feel like listening to this music. It's just like I know what the music does to me, and I know it'll like help me calm down and stuff. And this is one of those. I've just gone to it like when I need to take a nap, when I need to meditate, when I need to like calm myself down if I'm like feeling a certain way. It just has this like really amazing universal quality to it that just feels like it makes me like zoom out of myself, and feel like I'm small. And I think that that would be an important thing to have while stranded, because I'd probably freak out a lot and would need to have these like moments of just like chilling out and being like, but it's so beautiful and the ocean is great and whatever. So, so yeah, alluvium amongst the trees.
There we go. You have to have that like coping mechanism when you're
Yeah,
on an island, you know?
you do.
Awesome. And the last thing, Clara, the big thing. Tell them about your band, Infinity Shred, where they can find you at on social media, and anything coming up in the next couple months.
Yeah. I mean, this album's out. We put it out yesterday. It's on all
Woo!
streaming platforms. Yeah. So Forever a Fast Life is the name of it. We also put out a short film, and that's on YouTube. And the short film was really fun to do. We worked with friends of ours, Esther Kim and Dean Marshall, and they were our art directors for the full album, and they just managed to create this entire world that we had been trying to evoke with the music. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what I was just saying. It's like subtly sci-fi, but not too much. It's a post-apocalyptic story of survival. It's like a woman and her dog just trying to like find shelter and navigate some land in a near future. So the short film, definitely check it out. It includes like little clips of different songs, so it's kind of a nice way. It's like not really a music video. It's more just like an intro to the album
Yeah.
without necessarily sitting down and listening to the album. It's a nice thing to do before listening to the album, I think, if you've never checked this out. I feel like that would be a really cool place to start because you get like little teasers for the songs, and then you can be like, all right, maybe I'll listen to the album tomorrow. And other than that, yeah, on 3 Dot Recordings, we have our merch available. And as far as shows and tours go, we're kind of working on that in the moment. So look towards a potential local October date, and the rest is history. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, I want to give a shout out to Monica.
Thanks, Monica.
She is fantastic. I love working with her. But more importantly, you should check out Infinity Shred. I am super pumped to do a review of it and get it out to all of you lovely people. And it's something that I'm very honored and also stoked to take on as someone who listens to a lot of different music. So I'm very curious to listen to the rest of it, and you should be as well. Links are in the description where you can find out about Infinity Shred, and hopefully they'll be doing a tour near you. Pick up the new record if you really want them to come out to you. That's probably the best way. And if you enjoyed this interview, share it, like it, subscribe. It goes a long way. And thanks, of course, to Clara from Infinity Shred for coming on today.
Thanks, Brandon. Thank you, guys.
Hey, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.